Ladies and gents, welcome back. The inquiry into the use of the Emergencies Act will be starting up this week, and we'll be getting a clearer picture of what exactly the government under Trudeau was thinking when invoking this act, or perhaps we'll get a clearer picture that they were not, in fact, thinking. Now we have from CBC News, convoy leaders, Prime Minister expected to testify at inquiry into the use of the Emergencies Act. Public inquiry will examine federal government's decision to grant police emergency powers. Is that all that granted? Well, we know that it suspends our Canadian Charter of Rights and Freedoms. This is a tool that is meant to be used under extreme emergencies, maybe acts of war, acts of terror, things of that like. Not necessarily a peaceful protest at the doorsteps of Ottawa's Parliament building. The public inquiry into the federal government's unprecedented use of the Emergencies Act during what organizers called Freedom Convoy. Okay, conjecture, of course, they throw that in there. The Freedom Convoy, the convoy of peaceful protesters, last winter begins on Thursday, and dozens of witnesses, including Prime Minister Justin Trudeau and high-profile convoy organizers, are expected to testify. It goes into the history of it. If you've been paying attention to the channel, on February 14th, due to a peaceful protest in Ottawa, the Prime Minister of Canada declared a state of emergency in response to that peaceful protest. Now, he'll claim that it had to do with border closures, blockades. The incident that was happening in Coutts had broken up. The protest that was happening in Windsor, Ontario at the Ambassador Bridge had been dismantled by the time that the invocation of the Emergencies Act took place. So there's no excuse there. This had to do with the Freedom Convoy that was in Ottawa, a group of peaceful protesters. Nonetheless, True North reporting on this, Emergencies Act Commission released the list of 65 anticipated witnesses. Definitely looking forward to this because people will be under oath in this inquiry, and well, you can't just obfuscate and jump around. There's going to actually be cross-examination. I'm really looking forward to hearing what happens here. The Public Order Emergency Commission has published a full list of the anticipated witnesses to be called to testify over the Liberal government's use of the Emergencies Act to quash Freedom Convoy protests in February. With only a few days left, the commission begins its 7-week stretch of hearings on Thursday. The list gives a glimpse into the scope of Commissioner Paul Rouleau's investigation into the matter. The commission is about to embark on the public phase of the process of finding answers to the questions assigned to it by Parliament under the Emergencies Act. This critical phase will shed light on the events that led to the declaration of the public order emergency and fully explore the reasons advanced for the declaration, wrote Rouleau in a statement. I'm confident that with the cooperation of all the parties, the hearings will provide a fair and thorough process for the presentation of the evidence required for the commission to be able to give the public the answers in which it is entitled. Now, one thing you have to understand is written in the Emergencies Act is that this has to take place. This isn't out of the kindness of their own hearts. No, this is something that is required of them. And some of the information, and I'm going to drill this one home until I get an answer for it, but some of the information that we're looking for, and this is an article that came out of the Conservative Treehouse back in February as the invocation the Emergencies Act was revoked. They revoked it. Trudeau's government revoked it just before the Senate was going to vote on it. Now, the House voted on it, passed it by, well, partisan lines. And then the Senate was about to vote on it. And then some information came out, and then they quickly got out of here. They pulled it out. After his prepared remarks about his reversal in position, Trudeau was softly questioned about internal documents discovered by the Canadian Senate that point towards Trudeau's cabinet discussing the political benefits they would gain by invoking the Emergencies Act. The Prime Minister dodged the question twice instead saying parliamentary investigation will review why the Emergencies Act was needed. Of course, that is required that they do that. But people are very curious, including myself, very curious as to answers about these documents that were being passed around by senators. Keep an eye on this story of the Senate discovery. From all indications, even the Liberal allies of Trudeau in the Senate were unable to support the Emergencies Act after they reviewed the non-public documents. There's something very damaging in those documents, likely internal emails between Trudeau and his various ministers. This is some information that I hope does come out and see the light of day. I've been hearing about information being released, but completely redacted, just black lines over all of the documents. Convoy leaders, government officials, and members of law enforcement will testify before the commission. Some prominent witnesses include Prime Minister Justin Trudeau, Deputy Prime Minister Chrystia Freeland, the Mr. Speaker woman, RCMP Commissioner Brenda Lucki, CSIS Director David Vinot, Ottawa Mayor Jim Watson, who I'm interested in his testimony because he was actually in negotiations with the Freedom Convoy organizers at the time for moving vehicles and taking away any undue burden on the citizens of Ottawa at the time and putting the protest directly in front of Parliament. These were negotiations that were occurring on February 13th, the day before the Emergencies Act was invoked. So looking forward to Jim Watson's testimony, as well as convoy organizers Tamara Litch, Benjamin Dichter, Tom Marazzo. All of them looking forward to seeing their testimony as well. Written into the act is a requirement for the government to hold an inquiry into its invocation within 60 days of it being called into, and to produce a report to Parliament within a year of the emergency's end. Now, the end of the emergency was only a few days after, several days after it was invoked, but yes, before it was actually brought into law by the Senate. So that it was brought back and revoked, and that was what I was getting into earlier. But this is something I've been looking forward to covering and bringing to light. Most of the people that tune into this channel are tuning in because of the coverage of the Freedom Convoy initially, and I really want to follow up on these stories. I think it's very important that we follow through with this and we get a public inquiry. There are a lot of questions that people deserve answers to. There was a lot of people invested into this. A lot of people donated to the convoy. Their information was leaked out by the press via hacked information. A lot of people are really concerned about moving forward and these unprecedented powers that a government official, the Prime Minister of Canada, has granted himself in invoking the act and bringing that to the doorstep of Canadians. And we're really looking forward to having this come to light. Anyway, I'll stop rambling. Again, leave a comment in the comment section down below. Let me know what you think of the invocation and the inquiry into the invocation of this act in Canada, what you thought about the whole situation, and where you think it's going to go forward. Do you have faith in the system? I'm hoping we can have faith in this system and that the inquiry will be fair and balanced, and we'll get a good viewing and a lot of transparency so we can all see the truth. Anyway, leave a comment in the comment section down below. If you're not yet subscribed, please consider subscribing now. If you've watched a few of these videos and you like what I do on this channel, please consider subscribing. Hit that notification bell. It lets you know when I go live. I go live every Friday, but occasionally I have guests, and these days I've been having a lot of guests on. Tonight I'll be having Nick Coleman. He's an economist, and we'll be talking about no-fault insurance in British Columbia, and it's a very interesting topic, very important to get that information out to people. So please tune in at 6:30 Pacific time this evening. Check your local time zone to see when that is. People, make sure to do that. Anyway, we'll see you in the next one. Keep on trucking.